Happy Star Wars Day, everybody. Today I'm going to be reviewing as many of the Star Wars films that I possibly can. I'm not going to do all of them, and most likely I'm definitely not going to do the Disney ones. Rogue One and Force Awakens might have to wait till next year, or another time this year if I feel like in the mood. But today we're going to be talking about the prequels first, then hopefully we're able to talk about the original trilogy later. So let's get on with the first prequel, Phantom Menace. This tells a story about the Naboo system being infiltrated by a galactic army, and the Jedi must fight to protect it. Now, I did not really grow up with this one first, and I definitely wasn't around when it first came out, so I had no idea what the hype was truly like back in the day. But I do recall a lot of people saying that it was one of the most hyped and most anticipated films of 1999. Then it came out. Many people liked it, but some were in denial, and nowadays it's more mixed than ever. I mean, definitely a lot more positive now since the sequels came out and disappointed people even more, but there still was a time when this movie had a bit of a mixed reception. Some people liked it, some people hated it. What are my opinions, my honest opinions? Well, I think The Phantom Menace is fine. I don't think it is great. I don't think it's bad or horrible. I think it's mid Star Wars around there. There are definitely a lot of problems with it, but I think the pros of the film outweigh the cons here. So let's talk about those pros. For one, the action sequences, the lightsaber duels, the galactic space battles are all really fantastic. While some of the CGI don't hold up as well today, many of the space battles look pretty cool. The lightsaber duels are choreographed perfectly in my opinion. There's still a weight to them despite them being a lot faster than the original trilogy's duels, especially the Darth Maul fight sequence. Like, these lightsaber battles are what I wanted to see from Star Wars. That's the kind of Star Wars lightsaber battles I wanted to keep watching, and they were really entertaining. They were energetic. And as I said, the choreography was great, and it helps with the fact that Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor does a lot of cool stunts with these lightsaber duels, and I really admire their efforts in that regard. Speaking of Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson, despite their characters in this movie lacking a bit of characterization, I think their performances are actually really strong here and make up for the bland script that they were given here. These two really feel like the characters they are inhabiting here, especially Ewan McGregor, who is just perfect in the role as Obi-Wan. Liam Neeson plays Qui-Gon Jinn, the mentor type figure, and you can say that he is the main character of this entire film, but he doesn't have that same character arc that Ewan McGregor or Anakin Skywalker had, played by Jake Lloyd. He is the more reserved type of character. He knows what's going on. He's just guiding other characters to different locations. He doesn't have much of a character arc. And so does Ewan McGregor in a way, until we realize by the end that he is trying to learn the best under his master's wing, but it wasn't as clear as before. But also in another way, in my opinion, I like to sell the Obi-Wan's character arc here. As when we start off, he's definitely cocky and knows about things with the lightsaber and everything, but he still has a lot to learn under Qui-Gon Jinn. Seeing Obi-Wan in a young state still learning as a Padawan was very interesting. When he comes to meet Anakin Skywalker when they get to Tatooine, I wish it could have furthered his character along even more, which would have made that ending a lot more impactful in my opinion. Because aside from the beginning and the end of the film, the middle, the character Obi-Wan has a bit of a lull. He is just in the story just doing things, but he doesn't have as much to do as with Anakin and Padme. In the middle of the film, we focus quite a bit on their friendship that is so far blossoming. And despite the dialogue being terrible, at least it is some sort of characterization for us to understand these characters. And for the most part, that's where the writing is a bit hit or miss for me. It goes along the story pretty well. I like the decisions, but the execution and the dialogue given to these characters are just really bad and really stand out as like it's coming from a play of Star Wars instead of an actual Star Wars movie. I felt like the writing here and the dialogue could have been improved a whole lot more. The dialogue should have been a lot more natural. There are times when the characters do sound real and feel real, like a scene where Anakin is saying goodbye to his mother and he heads off to Coruscant. Other than moments like that, I feel like the movie had too much terrible dialogue and a bit too many jokes, especially from the character of Jar Jar Binks. No disrespect to the actor or anything, but I found this character quite a bit annoying, and while he is definitely relevant to the plot, I found his humor very unfunny. While there are a few jokes that did make me laugh, he is definitely the comic relief, and more often than not, his comedy just fell flat for me. But my favorite character in this entire film is Emperor Palpatine, or in this case, the Chancellor. He is so far trying to manipulate his way into the top spot of Coruscant and is trying to gain control over the entire galaxy. And seeing this master manipulator at work is really fun to watch, which is why some of his dialogue scenes, in fact, if not all of his dialogue scenes to me, are the most interesting. Because I love seeing the Emperor in this light, seeing him manipulate the people around him to gain what he wants, as he is so far in control of both sides of the good and the bad. As he has infiltrated Coruscant, he's in this government's good side, well, in their perspective good side. It's just very interesting stuff to watch in a Star Wars movie, in my opinion. And while I know the politics ain't the most interesting part of Star Wars, just seeing Palpatine manipulate the world around him is so much fun to watch and gets me more intrigued of what he has planned for the entire galaxy in later films. But also big moments like the pod race or the final battle are very exciting and exhilarating to watch. And as I said before, the CGI ain't holding up that well. But the practical sets and some practical effects here and there made up for what is, for the most part, a pretty fake looking movie. At least there was a sense of realism to it still, where you feel immersed in the moment and you feel like the actors and characters are actually doing things. So yeah, this movie is a bit of a mixed bag. It's the introduction to Anakin, and I felt like they could have done a little bit more with him, and especially Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. There also really isn't a main character to focus on. I felt like that is one of the movie's biggest problems. I had no idea who the main character is. It doesn't make it clear. They all have their own character arcs equally, and I guess if you had to say, I guess Obi-Wan or Anakin. But I feel like if this movie was able to make clear who the main central character is, then I felt like the story would have been a lot more digestible and a lot more engaging to watch. But overall, The Phantom Menace is a fine enough Star Wars film and a fine enough introduction to the prequels. And I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a B-. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.